How's it going, everybody? It's G.I. Jake, your proud U.S. Army veteran, here to serve you. Today I'm going to talk about Jody fucking your girl in the U.S. Army. Actually, any branch. If you're in the military, you know exactly who I'm talking about, Jody. As a matter of fact, there was times where I was Jody. Jody took my girl, I'll say that, when I was in basic training, gone for 5 months, so in love. Remember, I went in at 17 years old. I was so in love. I came home, boom. Her and I hooked up the night we got back. It was perfect. And then I found out Jody was banging her while I was gone. Or hooking up with her, at least. I don't know what they were doing. So I got with anger bang and left. You always want to leave with anger bang, I'll tell you that. And after that, I was just like, if I'm going to be over here, you know, and girls are back home, like, long distance relationships aren't going to work. So I pretty much went off the rails. I started dating a lot of girls. I remember just going to the club, waking up the next day next to a chick. And she's like, you gotta go, you gotta go. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, my husband's coming. I'm like, husband? You never told me you had a husband. And she was like, well, I didn't want to tell you. I didn't want you to know. And then sometimes the girls wouldn't even rush you to leave in the morning. That's because their husbands were overseas. Yeah, fucked up, right? Again, I was a young 18-year-old. I was just getting as pussy as I could get. It was fun, I ain't gonna lie. But these women, they will tell you, you know, I'm single, blah, 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 and then they'll tell you they're married. And then you'll find out they're married the next day after, you know, the alcohol's worn off or whatever, and they're taking advantage of you because they want to get laid. You know, I'm telling you, if you're gone for a year, just think about it. You leave for a year to serve your country, she's back here doing, God knows, she's already at the bar party the next night. I knew girls that would leave and go out the day after guys would deploy. It was just fucking nuts. Like I said, if you're in the military, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you get those Dear John letters. As a matter of fact, when I was in Iraq, it was like phasing out. You were getting like a Dear John email. Can you imagine being in Iraq, serving your country, and then you get a fucking email and you get broken up, you know, over an email? And like, because Jody's banging your girl. Yeah, shit happened all the time. It was nuts. I have a couple quick stories too that always stand out to me. Again, I have hundreds. I mean, if you're in the military, you have hundreds of Jody stories. But one that stands out to me was. You know, there was an E6. She was beautiful. She was in our company, and all the guys used to try to get with her. And she was married and had kids, and she wouldn't get with anybody. One night there was an accountability, and accountability does not end until everybody's accounted for, obviously. And finally, she's missing, and finally someone's like, I know where she's at. Well, she ended up being with the boxing instructor on the base in his room. Apparently, they had been porking for a minute. I guess he had answered the door, and she was in there like in her shirt and underwear or some shit like that. She got demoted from an E6 to an E5, and everybody was just shocked, you know. And I heard she never even told her husband, you know, because when we got back from Iraq and everybody's hugging their family, she's there hugging her husband, kissing her kids, and everybody just like knew in the back of their mind, holy shit, you were getting piped down the whole time you were serving your country. Your husband had no idea. Shit like that happened all the time. And for the record, yeah, she was a badass Latina. Oh, anyways, so shit like that happened all the time, man. Girls, when you're in the military, girls, they get around, you know. And then, like I said, when you're overseas and your girl's back home, Jody's getting with her. Jody's getting with her. Okay? Like I said, sometimes you are Jody, all right? A lot of times this is 10 years ago, I was young. Hey, I was doing what I wanted to do. I was having fun. And I'm not like that now, but man, shit was crazy back then. My big one that sticks out to me real quick, so I went to a nightclub. Now, remember, I was only 17 when I enlisted, but I was 18. I was always underage, put it that way. Now, I still had connections and whatnot if I wanted to grab drinks, but for the most part, I'd have to get those big black X's on your hand because you're not old enough. You know, you only got the bracelet if you're old enough to drink. So I'm in the club and I see this badass chick. Nice chest, nice ass, nice face. She's Hispanic, beautiful. And I like older women. She ended up being like 10 years older than me. I think I was 18 and she was like 28, 29. And I went up to her. I was like, hey, you want to dance? Or whatever the fuck I said. And she was like, you're not even old enough to buy me a drink. She looked at my X's on my hand. Shot down. Boom. I go back to my buddy, whatever. I see her around the club. She's all dancing with this older guy. He's buying her drinks. I'm like, that motherfucker. Then, there's about like 40 minutes till the club closes, and I remember, I was like, all right, let's go. I tell my buddy, let's leave. And I get a tap on my shoulder. I'm like, okay. And it's her. She's like, hey, man, this guy won't leave me alone. Can you come say you're my boyfriend and dance with me? I'm like, okay. So her and I start dancing, and that guy like saw us dancing, and he left. And now it's just her and I, we're just dancing. And I was like, okay. And the icebreaker was, because I was stationed in Texas, we were in Texas, the icebreaker was, we were both from Phoenix. So right there, we hit it off. We started talking. I asked for her number. She said, I don't give my number out. Okay, so I gave her a hug. I leave. My buddy and I were walking to the car, and a car pulls up next to us. and it's her. She's like, I don't give my number out, but doesn't mean I can't have yours. I'm like, yes, give her my number. Doesn't text me for like 3 days. Obviously, that happens all the time. Out of nowhere, she hits me up. Yeah, we start hanging out. We start talking. Everything's good. She made me put in that work to get them panties. Let me tell you, okay? It was like a good 3 days. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was like a month. We talked, and then I was, kind of getting a little serious too. Then we finally hooked up, and it was great. I think we hooked up in my barracks. And then she lived in Waco, which is like an hour and a half away. And I'd go to her apartment. It was a studio. It took like 6 months to finally get to her apartment. It was a studio. She had a nice Mustang. And then I deployed to Iraq, and we pretty much cut everything off. I didn't want to deal with that. I had other things. I'm not gonna lie, I had other girls I was seeing back home. But anyway, so I go to Iraq, and I had her email, and we would always talk every now and then when I was in Iraq. But for the most part, I didn't hear from her. I come back from Iraq, I'm still at Fort Hood, and her and I pick up things where we left off. We start dating again, we start hooking up again, everything's great. I'm going to her place, we're going to the movies, we're going out to eat. Everything's just going good. And your boy, I almost started catching feelings. So I go to her apartment one day, because I would always go to the apartment with her. But this one time I was going to show up and surprise her. And I parked in the visiting section, and I walked to the gate that's by the manager's office. And I'm trying to get in the gate, and I can't get in for whatever reason. And the office manager comes out. She's like, sir, what are you trying to do? I was like, I'm trying to get to my girl's apartment. And she's like, which apartment? And I was like, apartment 240, whatever the number was. And the office lady's like, oh, okay. And she goes to leave, and she comes back. She's like, wait, 240? She was like, he's overseas in Iraq. I was like, I'm sorry, what? Long story short, to bring this to an end, come to find out she was married the whole time. And in a previous video, I told you how Fort Hood was an active duty rotating base. So when first cav was in the rear, first cav was overseas. So when I had first met her, I was first cav. I was fourth ID. When I had first met her, her husband was overseas. And then when I went overseas, her husband was back home. And then when I came back, her husband went again. And then that's when her and I started talking. So I had to think about that. So basically, as we were rotating deployments, she was seeing both of us. And she was playing us both. She was banging us both. The only difference is she was actually married to him. Okay, I must have been her like a little boy toy. I don't care. I was hitting that shit raw. Don't do that. Use a condom. But yeah, and I cut her off. Like I said, I got kind of my feelings. I should have left with the anger bang, but I didn't. I just cut her off. I told her, I was like, I got on my feelings. Told her what's up. Cut that off. Fast forward like a year, I'm out of the army, and she emails me and she calls me. She's like, oh hey, blah, 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 like acting like nothing ever happened. She's like, by the way, my husband's here. He wants to talk to you. I'm like, what? And her husband's like, hey man, no problem, man. Blah blah blah. And I was like, y'all weird. And I was back home already. I didn't give a fuck. So I just hung up. Never heard from her since. But yeah, that's the shit girls will do, man. If you're overseas serving her country, she's back here doing all kinds of shit. God knows what she was doing. Like, and the thing is, her and I, she would always want to like pursue me like as a relationship wise, but the whole time she was married. Like, what the fuck is up with this woman? Bitches are crazy. Excuse my language. But so just know, Jody will get your girl. Okay? And if you're thinking about joining the military, and if you're in a relationship, I'm not saying break up, just be aware that you're going to be gone in training for a while. You're going to be gone if you deploy. You're going to be gone in field exercises. You're going to be gone sometimes. And if you can trust your woman or man, then you should be okay. But just know Jody's always around the corner. And yeah, I'm sure I'll think of more stories to tell later. These are a few of my Jody stories. Again, this is G.I. Jake, your proud U.S. Army veteran, here to serve you. Carry on.